I am Nyala. Welcome to my mood reading book channel. I'm so excited to have you here. Hopefully this video works out today. Trying some new things. Yes, I have some wine here and I'm going to talk to you about the physical books that I own that I have on my TBR for this year. Oh my god, Cubby, this is not allowed. I don't know what to do about you. Am I gonna have to kick you out? I'm just gonna jump right into it because I don't want this to be a 40-minute video. I was gonna try and be cute and make it like 24 for 24. I already did that video, 24 new releases I'm looking forward to. Dude, do not nudge anything. Okay, I gave him some treats. Hopefully that will keep him busy. But I already did 24 new releases I'm looking forward to in 2024. So today we're just going to do my physical TBR. I think there's 25 of them. I tried. Okay, I tried. But there's a lot of books I own that I want to try to read. I don't have a punishment for myself if I don't read any of these. I know some people do like I have to unhaul it or I have to do other things. But no, this year it's my first time ever laying it out. These are what I want to read this year. So I'm not going to punish myself this year. Maybe next year, we'll see. But this year, I'm just saying it now so that I can look back at the end of the year and say, did I read any of those? Did I read all of them? Pretty unlikely. But these are books I currently own at this moment that I would like to read this year. So let's get into it. Like I said, I'm going to try to go quick because there's like 25 of them and I don't want this to be like a 40-minute video. So we're going to start with what I consider to be like the only like high fantasy book that I have on this list. And that is The Green Rider by Kristen Britton. This is apparently like horse girl fantasy. It's about a girl who's coming back from school. She got kicked out to go tell her dad she got kicked out of school. And she stumbles upon a messenger who is in a bad way, and he's like, you need to deliver this message for me, and then he dies. So she's like, well, I'm gonna deliver this message, and things ensue. And apparently it's a fun horse girl fantasy if you love horses. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I have the first 3 books in the series, but if I just get through the first one, I'll call it good for me. I don't know where to put these now that I've talked about them. Just start a new stack. So then we'll talk about the manga series I would like to start this year. The first one is Chainsaw Man. This is a super popular anime right now, but I want to start reading the manga before I start watching the anime. So I picked up the first volume and I'm very looking forward to getting into this one. Then I have Vinland Saga. I've been told it's like a slice of life, but also like a guy maybe out for revenge or something. I'm not 100% sure. I keep getting mixed thoughts on it, but I'm really excited to start it. I picked this up during the hardcover sale and I'm super hyped to start collecting these and start reading them. And then the last manga I want to get into this year is Sailor Moon. I have been watching people around me like enjoy Sailor Moon for my entire life and I just never got into it. I always wanted to, but I never knew where to get into it. So I picked this up while I was out shopping. First volume of this series. I don't know, like, there's so many. So first volume of this series, this is what I'm going to read. Super excited. There's a few classics I want to read this year. There's 4 or 5 of them. I bought like 6. If I read one, it'll be a good year, but there's a few that I really want to try to read this year. This one I think might be the hardest, and this is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. It's so big. It's so much bigger than I thought it was, but I'm so intrigued by this story, and I just really, really want to read it. Like, I've read retellings, and I've read like things inspired by this story, and I've seen like the movie, but I've never read the actual book. So this year I really want to try to read this one, Jane Eyre, and I also want to try to read a Jane Austen. So I have Pride and Prejudice. I also have Sense and Sensibility, but I love the Pride and Prejudice movie, the Keira Knightley one. And so I kind of want to try and read the book, the source material for that. So I have a copy of Pride and Prejudice here to try to get through this year as well. Then this one I don't think should be too difficult. It's Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Compared to the other ones, this one's like a novella. I know it's not a novella, but when you compare it to these guys, this one looks like a cakewalk, right? And so I really want to read this. I'm trying to get more into horror and gothics this year, so I think this is right up my alley for that. I don't know if I'm going to try to save it until Halloween, but I'm afraid if I put it off that long, I'll just keep putting it off. So we'll see. Then the last classic I would like to try is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. And this one again is a little bit on the smaller side compared to the other one, especially compared to the other Bronte. But yes, I really want to read this one. I hear all about like whatever his name is, the guy in this book. I hear about him and I'm here for it. I want to read it. So these are the 4 classics I really want to try to get through this year. I own them. And like I said, I have a couple other ones. I think I have Dracula and Sense and Sensibility up there, as well as a bunch of Sherlock Holmes. But these are the four that I am like first on my docket. Then the last like almost classic that I really want to read, oh no, I knocked Kylo Ren over, is Dune by Frank Herbert. This has been on my like TBR for years, like years and years and years. My dad has been hounding me to read it. Like I've been hounding myself to read it. I just never read it, obviously. So this is on my physical TBR this year. I really kind of want to prioritize this. It is pretty big. It's pretty big. But I treated myself to this beautiful copy over the Christmas sale. So now I just have to read it. Bought myself a nice copy to try to motivate myself. And now I'm like, is it making me afraid to use it? I don't know. We'll see. So then we're going to do some nostalgia rereads this year. There's a couple of series from my childhood that I want to reread. One of them is the Circle of Magic series by Tamora Pierce. This is actually like a pretty long series. If you read everything that comes through it, there's like the Circle of Magic, there's like the Circle Opens, and then even a couple little extended ones. This year, I kind of just want to focus on the original four. This series is about four students of magic. They come to this school of magic and they can't be taught like with the other students for various reasons. Some of them are like too headstrong, some of their powers are a little bit too crazy. So they're sent to this like tower together to study under a few different teachers. Things happen. It's really, I remember like really loving it, and I've done many rereads. This is the only book in the original four that I have so far. I've been kind of scouring used bookstores and stuff for them. I think I'm going to end up having to go to thrift books or eBay. And then another Tamora Pierce series that I really want to reread is the Wild Magic series. So the first one is The Immortals. I know that they've been re-released with like really pretty covers. You can get them in a box set. I think Easy Cat on Instagram and on YouTube, he's been like loving rereading Tamora Pierce, and he's got the new versions and they're beautiful. But I wanted the versions that I remembered reading as a child. So I picked these up off of thrift books to figure out how to get these stickers off. This series is about a young girl who has a magical power to like talk to animals and a few other things, and things go from there. I can like trail my, what is it, teacher-student romance, the love of that trope, back to this series. So I'm very interested to reread it to see if that's still there like I thought it was. I mean, it's obviously still there. No spoilers, but it's obviously there. But I just want to see if I like, if it's as there as I remember it being. So then I also want to reread the Daughters of the Moon series by Lynn Ewing. And this one I have picked up the entire set between Goodwills and thrift books. I snagged them all. I think there's like 12 of them. This series follows some young girls, young women, teenagers. I think they're in the Los Angeles area. I'm not 100% sure. They all have certain magical powers that are from, they're like blessed by the moon, and they're trying to save the world from something. And each book follows a different character. I think it loops back around, and then it also follows like one book follows one of the guys that's on the evil side, but he doesn't want to be evil, you know, just things like that. So I'm super excited. I remember the like end of this series just making me cry, so I'm looking forward to doing a reread of this series, and I hope it's as good as I remember. That's what I'm so afraid of with these rereads, is the rose-colored glasses coming off. And the last reread I have on my docket for this year so far, as far as like books I own that I want to reread for nostalgia, is The Golden Compass. I picked this box set up at a used bookstore over the holiday season. Kind of want to start rereading them this year. I also want to read his other book that he released, like The Dust. I don't know. I can never remember what it is. I'm sure it's on the screen, whatever it is. But I want to reread that series by Philip Pullman as well this year. Oh, I'm getting a little out of breath. I'm trying to talk really fast. Cheers to a wine break. All right, so I only really have 2 horror books on my docket. I keep saying docket. On my to be read, on my TBR, I have 2 horror books. They both happen to be short story collections. So the first one is Out There Screaming, which is edited by Jordan Peele. I've been really wanting to read this for a long time. I finally got my hands on it, so I am chomping at the bit to read this. I really hope that it will open me up to some authors I'm not super familiar with, and I'll find some like really good horror authors. Very excited to read this. I also want to finish Never Whistle at Night. I should have put this in the video too. It's over on my shelf, but I want to finish that one too. I'm like over halfway through, which is why it's not on this list, because I've been reading it since last year. So I've got that one. I've got Never Whistle at Night. And then the third one that I want to read, it's got fingerprints all over it. Oh my goodness. It's called The Horror Zines Book of Werewolf Stories. And I found this at a little bookstore in Bend. Pegasus Books. If you're ever in Bend, go to Pegasus Books. It's great. I love them there. They have really good books, a lot of like locally published or smaller published. So this is just a bunch of horror short stories written by various authors based around werewolves, and I love werewolves. All right, they're like my favorite mythical monster. If there's a hint of a werewolf, I will be there. I'm very excited to check this out. So this year, I guess I have a lot of horror anthologies ahead of me. Okay, the rest of the books I would consider like young to new adult fantasies. So the first series I'm going to talk about is the Atlas 6 series. I technically own all the books of this series. I am still waiting for the third one. It is the 18th of January. I pre-ordered it, so you would think it would have been here by now, but it's not here. All right, I'm in an ice storm. I'm still waiting. It's in limbo somewhere. Somebody has it. It was supposed to be here today. It's not here. But anyways, I bought this series. I'm super excited to get into it. I didn't start it back when everybody else was starting it because I just didn't think it was my jam, but I've read some of Olive E. Blake since then. I love her writing style, so I'm going to give this one a go. Then I really want to read The Hurricane Wars by Thea Guanzon. This one has been on my, like, I want to read this so bad since I bought it. I thought I was going to read it immediately, but I've just been swamped with library books, so it has not happened. But this one is like one of the first on my list of books I really want to read this year. I'm so excited. I loved Thea when she was writing fan fiction, and so I'm super excited to read this. I love how she tells stories. I'm just so excited. So this is like half of a reread for me, The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. I really want to get through this series this year. I've already read the first book, and like this is probably not showing up well because I think this is like a library book that I bought. So this is the Bear and the Nightingale series. I have read the first book and part of the second book. It's very slow, so I feel like I have to be in the right mood for it. And the second book is about characters that you don't follow a lot in the first book. And I was kind of like, I want to go back to these people. I want to see what's going on there. So I think I just need to like really focus and push through a little bit more because I think the payoff is going to be worth it. Yeah, so this year I do want to finish this, and that might involve rereading this first book. So we will see how far I get on that. But that is definitely something I really want to do this year, is to finish this series. I really want to finally read The Love Hypothesis. This is on my February TBR because I think like it's the month of lovey-dovey stuff. So I think it would be fun to read this and then her collection of like shorter stories. Oh, I still have to put that on hold at the library. Gotta do that. Editing self, do that right now.
I did it.
I'm gonna do reading vlog for this in February. Please look forward to it. I have read Love on the Brain. Did not like that at all. In fact, I hated that book. But I really liked her most recent adult book. I have not read Check and Mate. I should probably get my hands on that one too, just to give it a go. I'm gonna read the original, Where It All Started, in the next month. It's January, but I'll be starting this one pretty soon. So I'm excited to finally see, do I like the first one or do I only like the newest one? All right, and now we're getting super into fantasy. So I have Gideon the Ninth here. I guess my camera shut off in the middle and I lost my footage talking about Gideon the Ninth. So I'm just gonna really quickly just be like, yes, I want to read this year. I don't think the next book or the final book of the series is coming out until 2025. I feel like I'm so close right now. Just filming this on my webcam. I want to start reading this book this year, and that way I have time to kind of process or reread if I need to do that with some of them, because I've heard that like the second book or something, one of them is a little bit difficult to read. So oh my god, it is just like so shiny. You can see I'm watching Rachel while I'm working on this. There she is. There's Rachel. Yeah, so I want to start this series and read it. I've heard nothing but good things, except for the fact that one of the books is a little bit confusing. So I'm going to start this series this year, especially since it is kind of a big book, and I'm not sure if the other books in the series are like this big or not, but just get going on it now so that I'm ready by the time the next and hopefully final book. I don't know anything about it, but starting it this year as well. I don't know how far I got talking about Echo North, but I don't even really know what this is about. Something about like a wolf cursed person or something. She has to break the curse. So I'm looking forward to this one. This one might be more of a wintry read, but we'll see. Another series I want to read. I think this is just a duology, For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. I don't have For the Crown, but I really want to read both of them. I am here for the vibe. I love a good like retelling or inspired by Red Riding Hood, so I'm super excited to get to this one. Also, it's just like, it's got like beveled edges or whatever we call that, and the French flaps, so this just feels so nice. hopefully when I get for The Crown, it'll be a similar vibe. I hate when two series are different. So then I kind of want to start reading Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. And I almost didn't want to put this in the video because I was like, I don't really want people to know that I'm going to read this. But whatever, you know, shame is so last year. I want to start this series. It is like a bazillion books. The series is so freaking long. And I know that there's like a taunt of an enemies to lovers romance, but I know that that's not the end game. So at least hopefully going in knowing that's not the end game. But I also kind of want to know, like, does this end happily? Because everybody I see post about the end is like crying. And I'm like, is there a happily ever after, or is this gonna divergent me? Like, I want to get divergented again. My biggest problem with this is that I bought this first book like 2 years ago and they've changed the covers. So I'm like, do I just get it all at the library or do I rebuy in the new covers? I really like the new covers. Or do I just hunt down all the original series covers at thrift books or something? I don't know. I like used stores. So we'll see. I don't know. But that's on my list. Then I want to read the Caraval series. I don't really want to read A Ballad of Broken Hearts based on like what I've heard people say. So I kind of just want to read Caraval and maybe stop there, like that series. I think it's a trilogy. So I really want to start this series this year. It sounds really fun. Like, and it's pretty. I'm excited to start this one. I want to read Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. I really want to read this before I watch the TV show, and I really want to watch the TV show. So I need to find out how far the TV show goes in the series, and then I'll read those books, or book, depending, based on that, and then I'll watch the show. So I have the whole series of books. I just need to figure out what I need to read. I've been wanting to read this for like the last year, so this is the year to read it. And then the last thing on this list is The Cruel Prince. I have actually read almost this entire series. I've read the first two books and like a quarter of the last one, but I just ran out of steam. I just lost it. So I kind of want to start over and reread from the beginning and hopefully not lose steam at the end this time. I don't know what it was. I just like, she was in the human realm and I was like, dang, all right, I'm gonna take a break. And then I never came back. Do I start from the beginning or do I just hope that I can remember enough from where I left off? I can probably remember enough. But anyways, I want to finish this series this year. There we go. That is everything that I saw that was noteworthy when I was walking around my house, like looking at my books of things that I'm like, that is something I really want to read this year. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. We will see at the end of this year how many of these books I actually read. I will do a wrap up, like watching this video or going through it at the end of the year to see and compare what I read versus what I said I wanted to read. Ooh boy, future self. Hopefully we made some progress. Hopefully we checked some things off the list. All right. I'm afraid my camera's going to shut off on me again. So I'm going to call it here. Thank you again so much for hanging out with me. Please like and subscribe. I have all my links down below for my Instagram, my Twitter, my other YouTube channels, all that stuff linked down below. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.